I started training. I actually applied to a job as a trainer on Craigslist. When people used to use Craigslist more, I got a job as a trainer and I loved it. And from there, I literally got my certifications and I moved out to Austin after I graduated. I worked at Anytime Fitness as the lead trainer there, and I was there for 3 years. I got pretty burnt out though because I was constantly just trying to get the most amount of clients, and I was offering discounts all the time because I just wanted clients. I was like, the more clients I can get, the better off I'm going to be. And I don't know if a lot of you guys have been in that position, but you just want to get as many clients as possible, fill up your calendar. But I was just trying to do it at whatever cost, and that cost was my energy. And I quickly realized that that's not the direction I wanted to go. So I thought, hey, I'm going to move back home to New Mexico after 3 years of being in Austin, and I started training out of my garage. And so I had small group classes. I realized maximizing my clientele in 1 hour is going to be the best way for me to maximize my paycheck. I was training out of my garage for about 8 months, and then I opened up my own gym. This was the final product of the gym that you see here. It started smaller and then it quickly grew. And I did that for 5 years. So grew my business for 5 years. And then along the way, I was able to grow my gym because I picked up a camera. I picked up a Sony, it was a6300. Started filming myself, started filming everything that I did. I even did a little vlog. Started vlogging. That was kind of when the fitness influencers were vlogging and stuff. But that helped me. That helped me grow my business because people saw what I was doing. And, I think a lot of times when people see what you're doing, they start to trust you and they want to sign up and start training with you. So a lot of my growth happened because of picking up a camera. And then COVID hit. Big C word no one speaks of. COVID hit and I got really good at the camera. So businesses started hiring me to actually create content for them. And that's when I realized, well, I have a choice to make here. I can either keep training or I can do the creative stuff, but it was really hard to do both because I tried doing both for about a year and it was extremely difficult to try and balance both of those things. And so I decided to sell my gym and I moved back to Austin where I still had a lot of connections, and I started filming for influencers. I started filming for different businesses and gyms like that. Helped other gyms grow their business. I'm still helping a lot of gyms, but now it's more like coaching people on the content creation side of stuff. And it's all been a part of social, just growing on social media. So the first part that I want to dive into is your brand. Personal branding is all about creating perception around who you are. And that's just the mindset shift that I had to make is my brand isn't just a cool logo and the colors that I have. It's about the perception that people have of me, how I live my life on a daily basis, the values that I have, and the discipline that I create around that. Sharing your story so that it becomes your superpower, because everybody has a story, some obstacles that they've overcome, and using that as your way to harness your personal brand. Look at your personal brand as a tool to help people. And again, every obstacle, every hurdle, all the adversity that you have is a lesson that you can teach along the journey of your personal brand. So whenever you come across a business obstacle, it could be a obstacle even in your personal life. How you overcome that and then how you share that is creating perception. Everything shapes the perception of your personal brand, and that's why it makes you the expert. One of the things that I like to say is just you don't have to be the ultimate expert on what you're doing. You just have to be 5 to 10 steps ahead of that person behind you so that you can teach them on how to do it. It's how you are perceived, or how that person is perceiving your expertise. So if you have steps and ways that you help them, it's going to make it a lot easier for you to sell just because you have the expertise. But how you shape that into your own package is going to be the biggest thing for you moving forward. So the best brands do this. They build a bridge. So imagine your customer having their pain points. All of their troubles are on one side of the bridge, and the bridge isn't even built yet. And so they become aware of their problem, whether they're overweight, whether their waistline's too big, whether they can't walk up a flight of stairs. They're problem aware. And so when you can get them when they're aware of their problem, then you start to build the steps in order for them to get the sale. And the most important thing is they need to know who you are. And that's where social media is the biggest tool, because now you're able to actually give yourself a voice, allow them to know who you are. Obviously, you can do community stuff, and just being at the gym in general is going to help. But if they know who you are, then you can start to build the next step, which is trusting you. Trusting you is the biggest thing. My thing is I don't sell a product, I sell trust. I sell trust as much as I possibly can because that's going to help me build the brand that I want. So once they trust you, they'll be more likely to purchase from you and eventually land your client to the promised land. And once you get them there, then you can use them as a tool to sell your brand. Once you have client success, my client lost 5% body fat over the course of 12 weeks. like now you blast that on your social media, create a success story, create buzz around that, and sell from there. So once they're done with their journey, quote unquote done, you still use that as a part of the perception that you're creating. Okay, so this part is the part where we kind of have to break our belief system around creating content. How many of you guys post on social media regularly, like every day? So let's do 3 times. What's that?
Once in 2 days.
Oh, okay, that's not bad. That's pretty good. So what, 3-4 times a week? Yeah, good. So a lot of times people will say like, I don't know what content to create, or I don't know how to create content. There's all of these different obstacles. And the first thing you need to really like narrow down is your core values that create your vision. So your core values are basically everything that you grew up learning, either from parents, from kids, or as kids, from, schoolyard play. You start to have these beliefs about yourself. And this was like one of the biggest things for me is like, I had beliefs about myself that I couldn't sell on social media because I was XYZ. Like I wasn't an expert yet. But in reality, again, it's just like shaping your own perception of how many steps ahead of the person below me am I? And that's where you can actually like perceive yourself as the authority, as the expert. So either creating new core values or refining the core values that you have. If you've even thought about what are my core values that I want to offer to people, especially in fitness, because fitness, a lot of that is mental mindset. And if you're able to create core values that align and get clients that align with you, it's going to be so much easier to show up every day to your job and just perform. From there, you create the vision. So these 2 things are going to create the roadmap for your training. And then from there, you can start to harness that and use it on social media. So those are the things that you're going to talk about. Those are the things that you're going to show up as. So if you want to show up disciplined, if you want to show up as the authority, if you're going to be the David Goggins type, or if you're going to be more of the nurturing type. I don't know if you guys know who David Goggins is. So David Goggins is like in your face, like get up, you little, you know what I mean? You lazy mother. You can be that guy, and that's his personal brand. But look at how good, like how successful that turned out for him, right?
Some people like that.
Exactly. And you're going to attract, but look, he's attracting a certain crowd. And so that crowd would be quick to purchase whatever he has to offer. Whether that's a t-shirt, whether that's a book, whether that's a training program, they're going to buy from him immediately. Versus if you're a woman trying to train women that are postpartum, maybe women that are single mothers, like you're going to have a different voice. And so your core values are going to be the underlining factor of that voice. And then from there, you create the vision. What is your vision for your postpartum training program? I want to help women, whether that's like losing weight, whether that's eating healthier. Like there's so many different avenues you can go. But that's how you're going to show up on social media. So you create the discipline to post more content about that. And if you can show up more often posting about that and not just your random, workout that you did, like, yeah, it's good to post you working out, but like, what is the purpose that it's actually shaping the perception of your brand? So a random workout isn't going to shape the perception. It's not going to have the power to shape the perception of your brand, as opposed to like, these are the 4 workouts that I do every week in order to help myself do this XYZ, whatever your goal is, whatever your vision is. So it's like always reshaping how you post. You're still posting the same thing that you're doing, but it's like, now let me use my words to, make it so that it's in a certain direction. And that's where the discipline and the action differentiates you from another person that's just posting a workout, them doing bench press. And then from there, that's where you build the trust. So if you show up for X amount of time, then you're going to get X amount back. People are going to trust you. And the example I like to use is in 1997, 1998, I got a pair of Jordans for Christmas. And it's because I thought the Jordans were going to make me run faster, jump higher, and they made me look better. I know for sure they made me look better. And I'm still rocking Jordans on my feet today. But it's because I wanted to be a better athlete. He was a disciplined person that showed up every single day, put in the work, and Nike created a brand around him. The perception was, you wear this shoe, you're going to be like Mike. And so that's why I wanted this shoe. And they looked good. So that's why, I wanted them so bad. Obviously, I didn't buy them. I was 8 years old, so my parents bought them for me. But I felt much better. And so that's how you want people to feel whenever they purchase from you, whenever they buy a program from you. You have the solutions. And they know you have the solutions because of what you've been posting on social media and how you talk to them in person. So if you can do those 2 things, like you're going to build so much trust that people are just going to show up and be like, here's my money. Like, just take my money because I know you can help me get to my goal. And that's like the ultimate path to your success. And that's defined for you because everybody's success is different. You might want to have a nice car, nice clothes, whatever, a little bit of everything. But your success is defined by you. Like how many clients clients is that? So break down how many clients you want per month, your lifestyle, all of that, and define that. And then you can build your core values, vision, discipline, and action based off of that. Again, so we're kind of going over the 4 C's, the main 4 C's that I look at. Your core values, which is your why. So break that down first. What is your purpose? Because your purpose is going to define how much discipline you show up with every single day. And then you connect with your ideal customer. And then that's where we have to define who is our ideal customer. I don't know, how do you guys have an ideal customer? Does everybody have an ideal customer here? Someone that you've like really pinpointed on who you want to work with? And again, I use myself as an example because it was me 5 years ago, or actually it was like 10 years ago now. But the person that you were 5 years ago, the person that didn't know as much as you know now. And then your creative voice is basically your authenticity, because if you come across as, inauthentic, people just won't trust you. Like that's the ultimate no, is to act like somebody you're not. So like if Jason showed up on Instagram today and was like, I'm going to start acting like David Goggins.
That's totally me.
Then people might think that that's inauthentic. But maybe he's like, hey, that actually is my more authentic version. And you'll want to just show up as that person every single day. And you can shape your perception. That's what's really cool about doing this on social media, is that you can change it at any second as long as it's authentic. If it comes across as like salesy, then it's just not going to be authentic and it's not going to land with your audience. And then just doing it consistently. So core values, connection, creative voice, and consistent action. And here we go. So the first 2 are going to build the knowing. The third one's going to build liking. And then the last one's going to build the trust. And again, trust is everything. Trust is why you are doing what you're doing, because if people don't trust you, they're not going to purchase from you. And I realized this even more because as you start to go in the right direction, things just start to happen that are coincidences. You start to meet certain people. You start to actually align with people that are on the same like path as you, or people that you need to help. And that's like the most gratifying thing, is like when you're actually put in front of, like for instance, right now, like I'm able to speak to you guys not because it was luck, but because I am consistently going in a certain direction to help the people that I want to help. And you guys are sitting in front of me as a prime example of that. And that makes me super grateful, because like that is the ultimate reciprocation of value. So you do it with everything you say, everything you do, and everything you think. And the last one is the most important, everything you think, because that is what's going to repeat itself over and over again. Value, relatability, and success. So add value to your customer, be authentic, be relatable, and share success. And rinse and repeat that. Rinse and repeat, and you'll see the snowball start to accumulate. It's kind of just a basic overview of personal brand, the power I think that it has, and why it's more important than the actual creating of the content itself. Because if you don't have that, everything's going to crumble. So if you think about 5 pieces of content that you're creating, I like to create 3 pieces of value content, 1 piece of like selling content, whether that's like just showing your offer in some sort of way, and then another piece of either testimonial or just like my personality. So that could be like me, with friends. It could be me hiking. It could be me doing whatever I want. It could even be just like a mindset type thing. But again, add 3 pieces of value, 1 selling piece, and then 1 piece of who you are. And the cool thing is that once you get good at it, you can start to add who you are in every single post, because now you can tell a story. And when you can tell a story, it feels more natural and not so salesy. And that is the hard part, though, is telling the story. And that's why I think this makes it so creative and so fun. So why video? And I'm going to give you guys 3 things. So just in general, these are all just things I pulled off ChatGPT, I'm not going to lie. But like I was thinking about it, I'm like, it really doesn't matter. I think we all know the elephant in the room is video, and not even video, just pieces of value that you give to people is going to be what sells now. Because I think when you think of influencers from 10 years ago, they were the people that kind of had like the best body. They were the people that were perceived as experts because they looked the part. But you're starting to see that kind of fizzle out, and like, yeah, they're still relevant, but the people that are actually making money on Instagram are the people that are giving value and adding their expertise and sprinkling it into their audience. So that just means the more you can put out in video format, the better. You can also do that in carousels. Carousels are really good actually right now. So you can do carousels, you can do video, but all of this is just going to convert to more trust. And that is like, again, that's the main thing that you guys want. The main ingredient is build trust. And if you can build it with video and you can get good at doing it with video, you guys are going to be able to do that at a much more rapid pace. People used to write blogs more often. So what I would say is, instead of writing a blog, or you can write a blog on your website, but take that blog and break it up into 20 slides, like kind of like this, like just what I'm doing here, but do it for Instagram. And then it's technically, you're still having watch time. So when people swipe, Instagram starts the clock of like, how much time is that person spending on this post? And if you can do like a step-by-step protocol on like whatever let's say it's, here are the 10 things that I do on a daily basis to keep my abs showing year round. And it's like, slide over, you have an image of yourself flexing or whatever. And step number 1 is XYZ. And then they slide again. Step number 2 is XYZ. And then you could even sprinkle in whatever your personality is, whatever your expertise is. And then that's essentially watch time. And for whatever reason that's performing better, I think because it takes longer to read than it takes longer to listen. So you're reading, and then obviously people will stop and they'll zoom in. Like, let's say if you're showing your abs, like people will zoom in. They spend more time interacting with the post as opposed to actually a video that's talking about the 4 tips on how to, grow bigger muscles. Shares and watch time. I go over it here in a little bit, but shares and watch time are going to be the gold standard. Likes don't really matter and views don't really matter anymore. Like, it's just kind of a vanity metric. And you don't necessarily want to like have the most likes or share or views. You want to have the most shares and the most watch time. And usually comments will tell you too, like how much people are engaged with your content, because that means people are going to be asking you questions. How did you do that? Or like, would you recommend this? And then again, we'll go over this here in a little bit, but using your comments and your competitors' comments as the material that you use to make content. That was like a huge like brain buster for me, is like, I can go to my competitors, that's someone that are similar in my industry, and look at what people are asking, and then I can make content about that. That would be one of my top recommendations for what content should I make. Look at your competitors' comments, or your own comments obviously, but your competitors that have more followers, more authority in the space. So I like to use exercise as an analogy there we go. So every time you do an exercise, I know we all love exercise here. You assess, and then you do the setup, you execute, you finish. So that way you're not, finishing in a bad position, and then you reassess. Okay. So if someone has bad range of motion, you assess their range of motion, take them through the exercises, and then show them, oh, look, you improved in your range of motion, and now we can progress to the next step. Okay. So that's how I want you guys to imagine your Instagram profiles, your videos, etc. So step 1, assess. So you have to know your audience. And this goes to your core values. So they kind of are in alignment with that. Identify their beliefs, fears, needs, and their limiting beliefs. Okay. Their limiting beliefs is going to be their negative thoughts. And if you know your customers' negative thoughts, you're going to be able to create content that like blows their mind every single time. So everybody has limiting beliefs around whatever it is. Again, core values, what they think of themselves, how they can't do it. Even your own limiting beliefs. I can't make money on social media. I don't want to sell. I don't look good enough for, making money on social media, whatever it is. We all have these negative thoughts, and that when you can reach across the screen and kind of like nurture that person back into your field of expertise, they're going to trust you a lot more. And then create their avatar. So I like to have Sarah is my avatar. She's a fitness instructor, holistic body worker. She focuses a lot on holistic nutrition. This is my avatar. I talk to Sarah when I'm talking to the camera. Sarah is kind of like, either talk to Sarah or myself from 5 years ago. But really that's who I like to personify as the camera. When I'm speaking to camera, it makes it so much easier. And again, that helps authenticity. The authenticity that you bring to the table is going to be a good ingredient for your selling abilities. And then create an amazing offer. Again, all of this stuff right here, like, we can go a mile deep into this. Like, creating an offer, I can do an entire masterclass on creating an offer, because your offer, a lot of times a business lives and dies by their offer, and your offer will always change based off of the market needs and who you're serving. But you can have an intro offer, and then you have a core offer, and then you have a back-end selling offer. So your intro offer gets them in the door. The core offer is like the main package that you want to sell every single time. If I could sell you a $5,000 package, like, that's the offer I want. And then the messaging that you use. So the messaging is built off the offer, and the offer is built off of your avatar's limiting beliefs or their beliefs. I use ChatGPT and Google a lot for finding my clients' problems, and I'll give you guys a prompt here in a second. But when do you guys take sales calls, or do you guys just do mostly in-person stuff? In person? So that'd be kind of hard. So whenever I do sales calls, I record them either with Zoom or with Fathom. Fathom AI is just a recorder. It transcribes your entire meeting notes or your sales call. And then you can plug that into ChatGPT and say, hey, give me the top 3 things that my client said that were the most problematic for them. And then it'll give you, and then those are 3 immediate videos that you can make or carousels that you can make to post on your Instagram. So now your sales calls are working for you too. So everything matters. How you show up every single time you have a conversation matters. Having DM conversations. These are going back, even if you had a DM conversation with someone 6 months ago, go back to that. And what was their problem? Like, what did they not have enough time? Like, what was their main constraint? So that way you can create content on how to break that down and help them as if they were a client. Answerthepublic.com is going to give you it's a paid service, but I think you have a certain amount free. It'll break down everything in a pie chart. What are the most common questions people ask in that industry? So if you say, for instance, men over 35 that don't have enough time, maybe more corporate working, what are those people asking the most on the internet? In terms of like that's fitness related, and these are ways that you can craft your offer based off of those pain points. And then Reddit's actually a really good one. I didn't put it on here, but Gumroad is a website. But Reddit, basically you can type in what you want to search and you can see exactly what people are asking in terms of like what their problems are. And again, it's always just finding out what their problems are, what their limiting beliefs are around their fitness. And then again, competitors' comments. That one's huge. I actually like to go to those first now. I would say the ones that I use the most are going to be sales calls, DM conversations, and G comments. Because those are literal face-to-face interactions or like stuff that it's more relevant. When you go to Answer the Public, like you have to do some digging. Reddit, you have to do some digging. And it could be worth it, but it's just going to take you more time. It just depends on what you're finding based off of what you're looking for. And here, you guys can actually take this prompt. It'll take you to a Google Drive sheet. You guys can copy and paste all of that stuff into ChatGPT. So you'll see that it has a prompt on finding your client avatar. And then again, it'll go straight into like their gender, their age, their limiting beliefs, their fears, their wants, desires, and needs. And then underneath all of that, you can have them give you I think I have 20 script prompts, like hooks that you can say, hey, ChatGPT, make these hooks, make their problems and make content ideas from these hooks. So you can use that and just...
That one blew my mind when you told me this.
Yeah, and that's just a quick one. I have a more in-depth version that I use for a lot of my clients, and some of this is refining too, because you can do this for offers, you can do this for video ideas, you can do this for blogs, like whatever you want. And that's using... How many of you guys use ChatGPT daily? So about 50%? Yeah, every day? Yeah, for sure. I mean, use it as content, but when you can actually build your ChatGPT to learn your client and learn you. And that even means like take your sales call, plug it into ChatGPT and say, learn how I talk. Like, I want you to learn how I speak. So that way, whenever I ask you to do XYZ script, you put it in my voice. And the more information you can give it, the more it'll learn about you and how you talk. And that's gonna, and so like what I do when I make videos is I have a teleprompter and I don't worry about how it's written because I trust, and I still go over my scripts, but I trust how it wrote it for me because it's more in my voice and it's more cadence. And if I don't like it, I just cut it and I just re-record. That's the cool thing about doing stuff like in a private recording room or like in a gym by yourself, is like you can just stop and re-record. Obviously, when you're talking in front of people, it's less forgiving, but I feel pretty comfortable around you guys now, so we're good. Okay, so now let's talk about content pillars, because this is going to be the next step on the rung to creating better content. So these are going to run parallel with your core values. So once you find your core values, again, core values, that's why it's the base of the pyramid, because it's going to run your entire business brand and how you're perceived. So you usually want to pick 3 to 5 of those. Like, what are your biggest core values? Some people will say content pillars are like, and I disagree with this in some fields, is like, I need a content pillar that drives traffic, a content pillar that creates engagement. I don't like those. I like content pillars to be like my core values, because now I can run traffic ads or I can run lead ads based off of my pillars that I create. And now I'll know which pillars are going to actually drive my success. So have 3 to 5 that align. And the way you do that, is your experience, your abilities, and your customers' pain points. If you tell your story of your journey to where you are now, give me a couple of pillars that would kind of define that journey, whether that's adversity, whether that's toughness, strength, whatever. And then now your abilities. So what do you do? Like, what is your expertise? And then how does that match up with your clients' pain points? And then you can create those based off of this little Venn diagram. And then you want to have one of those as an anchor. So here I put this is an avatar. So the anchor, fitness for women postpartum, okay? And then what would be under that? Maybe personal development. That would be something that I post once per week. The actual tips for postpartum is going to be my anchor. Holistic nutrition is a part of that. So now I'm going to post about that once a week. And then after that, single motherhood. I don't know. Could be. Maybe it's something else. Maybe it's like even decorating your home as a single mother, like, or as a mom. Like, those are things that connect with your ideal client. So like, even for Jason, it's like, well, what do guys like that are over 35 that have some money? They like cars, they like cologne, they like watches. So if you talk about this stuff, if you post a picture of you like with your nice watch, like post it up on a car, or if you're like in a new suit and you just like, hey, this is gonna help me build my brand. I'm gonna hire a photographer and I'm gonna go buy a nice new suit, or I have a nice new suit and I'm just gonna go do a photo shoot. And then I can post carousels and have images of myself in a suit. And it's like, people are gonna trust you because like you look the part. You don't just walk the walk, or you don't just talk the talk, you walk the walk. Like you do the nice things that align with that guy's values. Again, it's all about their values. For me, I like to do, again, each pillar helps you build a bridge, and you're trying to align your content with that. Yeah, like for me, I like to talk about spirituality. I like to talk about fitness. I like to talk about running. I like to talk about personal development, like mindset growth. So those are, I feel like why I'm always in front of people that are on that same path. And these are just different types of content that you can do. So educational is just going to be like the straight up, like, here are the 3 best things. Here are the tools that I use. Fact guides, systems, summaries, like frameworks. So the frameworks are going to be something that you want to build your offer on. So like, this is the framework that I use to help men over 35 lose 10 pounds in 6 weeks. This is the framework. And then you can build off of that framework. You can use summaries, systems, fact guides, tools, best ofs, and lists, and just build off of that. So that's going to be your straight up educational. Again, you can use carousels, you can use videos to do that. For these types of things, I find that, me personally, I don't know if this is like true for across the industry, but educational stuff I like to read more than I like to like listen to. I want to be able to like digest it as I'm reading it, as opposed to like trying to hear someone ramble on about something that like is going too fast for me. Sometimes social media content can be overwhelming. And then the next content type is insightful. So like just actual facts, like stuff that's just going to help me realize what I need to do, because like science or math or the laws of the universe are saying that this is the way it's going. So like that could be data, trends, even expert quotes from like scientists or whatever, people that are in the industry that are, qualified, and then based off research and industry breakdowns. So just straight up facts. Edutaining. So that's a little bit of both. So this is where you can add your personality. I like to do reaction videos for my clients. So they get a piece of content that maybe is like an influencer that just looks good, and they're doing like this crazy stupid thing that you're just like, dude, like that's never going to work for the average person. And then you go ahead and break that down and say, this doesn't work because of this. Like the anatomy of the body or the physiology of the body just doesn't work. You can do that for even like, there's a lot of like diet information, different like diet types, carnivore diet. You can react based off of like what they're talking about. Like reaction videos are edutaining. Hidden secrets. So these are the secrets of the strength and conditioning industry. I've used that for ones like the dark secrets of the strength and conditioning industry. And it talks about, or my client talked about burnout. And so like the strength and conditioning industry doesn't necessarily talk about burnout. They talk about how to build the body, but there's not as much like information. Or even for personal training, I just thought of one based off our conversation at the beginning of this meeting, is like trainers don't get taught marketing, and that's like maybe you can say a dark secret, but again, it's just like, how do you get the viewer to start watching your content, and using kind of like words that elicit some responsive emotion are good to start with. So it's just a fun way of learning, and even doing interviews. So if any of you guys wanted to do an interview with each other, you can talk about your guys' past, your training expertise, all of that. Collaboration, that's a big one. This is kind of more of like the podcast style. Edutaining is going to be people having conversations too. And then inspirational, and everybody loves a good motivational montage. So I like to post inspirational stuff. I guess that's just kind of like what I always did when I first started. But it just helps keep me in alignment with where I'm going. So if I can post more inspirational stuff, it's actually more for me than it is for anybody else, but it does help motivate some people. The method that I like to use when you're using a storytelling, so if you're telling your own story, use the but and therefore method. So but builds the tension. So Jason didn't have any money because he was a broke trainer, but he decided to get his ass out and start marketing and build social media. Therefore, he became a successful trainer and is now making $20K a month. So just think about your story in that way, okay? But builds tension, therefore kind of gives the progress that is happening in real time. And then promotional. So this is client testimonials, product usage, core offerings, and discounts. So here we go. Profile optimization. Let me make sure I'm caught up on my iPad over here. There we go. All right, so here's my profile. Give me follow. We're just gonna go over like how to lay out your profile. Pretty basic stuff. But the first thing you want to do is just make sure your name is clear. Don't have, Godzilla 6969 as your. That's gonna be kind of scary. Not gonna lie. Just make sure your name is clear. And I do, obviously, if you can afford it, this is not financial advice. Just get a check mark. It makes it so much more trust. Again, trust. It's like, so that way you pop up, like people, the psychology of the blue check mark just helps people trust you more. It really does. And then also when you send DMs to people, like if they don't follow you, now I think Instagram does it where you actually can have, there's like in your DMs, there's people that are verified, and you can see who's messaged you that's verified. So that way it doesn't go just to like junk. And then also have a good profile picture that people can see. If you are selling fitness, like I would recommend either a good headshot like this or a shot of you like doing the thing, which is like lifting, but something that you can still see who you are, whether that's lifting or with a client. Again, it all just is your perception. So if you want to be, showing your community, like maybe you have a group photo with your community. I don't know if I would necessarily recommend that, but like at least have something of community on your profile so that people can see that you're like a community driven person. And then from there, you want to have your, oh, there we go. I can see better on here. This part is super important because it defines your brand. So who are you helping? And obviously you can see here, I help health coaches and holistic healers. So put exactly who you're helping in that. And it could be, a lot of people want to get specific, and you can get specific. I recommend that you get specific. That'd be more into like niching down. But again, it just depends on who you want to serve and like what you're trying to do. I would at least say who you're helping and what you help them do. And then maybe something like a tagline, like living life with a purpose. For me, that's very important for me, so that I'm living in alignment step by step with who I'm helping. Also, I guess with your name as well, you can put what you are. You can put like fitness coach, you can put holistic healer, you can put nutrition coach, you can put anything, strength and conditioning coach, all that stuff, because it does help when people search your name, or it just helps differentiate you. And then you'll be more likely to be found on Instagram's search feature. And then after that, you want to have something that links, some sort of link tree. I was going to bring your link tree up because his link tree is very lengthy and long. I would recommend not having a super long, but this one's hard for you because you have a physical gym and you have online stuff, and it's just like you want to have resources. So your Instagram is kind of like a website in a way, and that's understandable, but always try and simplify like what you're doing as much as possible, so that way it takes out, because if I go to someone's link tree and there's 1,000 things, I might get overwhelmed and just like decide not to click on anything, because it's just like there's too many options. I want to know how I can book a call, how I can find out more about you, whether that's like through your YouTube, your blog, whatever. And I want to know or just whatever other resources you have. And a lot of times the resource that you want to have is like a lead magnet. So an ebook, a masterclass link. Like I'm going to use this as a free resource for people. So like in about a week, I'm going to make this all nice and pretty, and then I'm going to put it as one of the links in my link tree. It's like, here's the free masterclass that I did for trainers in Phoenix, Arizona. And then they can watch it and they can just consume it, and it's free, but I get leads from that. So a lead magnet is preferred, book a call, and then either a link to about you or your website or anything like that. So those three things are by far the most important, okay? Anything else is just gonna be added fluff, I guess. And then just some highlights that kind of show what you're about. So you can have, fun, health and fitness, client results, all that stuff. And then your first three, carousel. So I only have the first two, but just kind of like the first two posts are going to be maybe something that you want people to know about you, or just something that maybe has high views, maybe something that went viral. You post that because obviously people like that type of content. So just post that at the top and pin it as your top performing content. Okay, here we go. Step 3. So script writing. This is the part that this is where discipline comes in, because everybody wants to be successful on social media until it's time to like plan what you're going to do. And again, it's like once you can define your core values and the vision, the direction that you're going, it becomes so much easier. And then just getting tools. So using tools that I give you, using tools that other creators give you, using those to your advantage so that it makes it less friction. You don't want friction in your process, and you definitely don't want any more Hail Marys. Just posting whatever to get views is just not gonna work anymore. Going viral is just like, to me, it's cool, but like going viral doesn't matter, because if your profile isn't optimized, or if you don't have the link tree ready to sell people, like going viral is just like, oh, I know that guy, he had a cool viral video, but like, what does that even matter? Like, to me, I'm like, I want to make money. Like, I want it to go viral because of the thing that I'm trying to sell, not because of this stupid act that I did or dance that I did. And everything you say and do shapes your perception, and that builds trust. So always remember that. So the first part we start off with is with the hook. Okay, this is what captures your audience's attention. This is what this is what you do to basically just stop the scroll. You can say like, don't do these things because you're going to end up like this. And you can show a picture, you can use your words, whatever. The negative hooks tend to work better because they hit the limiting beliefs. So again, think of how am I going to hit the person that I'm serving? How am I going to hit their limiting beliefs the fastest with the most attention possible? So again, triggering emotion on the hook. The build-up is going to frame their perspective or hype up what you're about to talk about. So that means that you can give them facts. You can give them some just insightful things that like the industry is talking about, why it is important. It's really like, why is this video important? So the hook gets their attention. The build-up is giving them the perception of why the video is important, hyping up the video. And then the value is like what they can do to overcome the obstacle. So if you present the obstacle in the build-up, how can they overcome that obstacle in the value, okay? And then after that, a call to action. So this is how you're gonna connect with your audience. You can sell something, but you can also just say like, let me know what you think down below, or comment like if this has happened to you. Again, comments are gonna be the thing that drives your post to get more views and get more watch time. So if you can get more comments and you can have people interact with you, then do that in your videos or your carousels more often. So here's a sample script. So the hook is, have you ever Googled what's the best way to lose weight? I actually pulled this from one of your scripts, or I kind of modified it a little bit. If you have, you quickly realize that there are hundreds of conflicting answers and it can be extremely overwhelming. Keto, intermittent fasting, HIIT, low carb, but what will actually work for you? So again, we're just trying to hype up like what the video is going to talk about. If you're not sure where to start and you're tired of wasting time with plans that get you nowhere, listen up because I have some insight to share with you. And now we get into the value, okay? So studies from the Journal of Behavioral Nutrition show that people who follow simple, structured plans tailored to their lifestyle are 80% more likely to achieve their fitness goals, and those who jump from trend to trend than those who jump from trend to trend. So whether you choose to go in one direction or another, try to stick with that plan for at least 8 to 12 weeks to maximize its effectiveness. Now, I had trouble deciding on what I wanted to do here. I kept it simple for the ending. I'm curious how if any of you have been caught in the trap of trying one thing only to jump ship 2 weeks later. Let me know in the comments below. And you're not trying to sell anything. You're just trying to give insightful value. You're not trying to show up as like, I want to sell you something. You're just like, hey, this is some tips that I gave you. Like, the only thing I'm asking you to reciprocate is just comment. Like, have you fallen into this trap? But you do that 3 times, something like this, then, you know, the 4th time again, you sell them. So it's like the way that you could twist this into a sale is like, if you're interested on how, or I help people with my XYZ program. If you're interested on how that works, like send me a DM with this word, or you can even have a link to your lead magnet. So I have a free ebook that you can download. Just go to the link in my bio, or you can comment this word. And that's where we'd have to go into a whole thing on how to use comments as a trigger to send the ebook immediately. But the easiest way to do it is just have it caked into your bio, so that way people can go click on that and download it, and then you have a lead. Building your brand takes time, so the more that you can post stuff like this, either carousel format or reel, is just going to build trust. It's not going to happen on your first post. You can't just be like, oh, I posted one, but like I didn't get anybody. It like happens over time, okay? And then also like a little secret ingredient is actually going and commenting on other people's posts too, that like you think could be potential clients. You know, it's like, oh, that looks cool. Like, where is that? And just like kind of creating rapport with them. So that way you're not just showing up on Instagram as like a salesy person, because that's inauthentic, right? We want to build trust, and inauthenticity is like the arch enemy. Any questions about scripting? Again, I kind of gave you guys some sample hooks and scripts that you can use in that ChatGPT prompt. And then, yeah, you can build off of that. And just let me know if you guys have any questions on that. Filming yourself. So again, reframing your mindset, your limiting beliefs around filming yourself. To get good at anything, you guys know this, you got to put in the reps. Okay, we're all are on our fitness journeys. We've been for a long time. Put in the reps and you will get better. It makes it so much easier when you have that client avatar that you speak to. So that way you're not getting confused on how you want to show up on camera. You just are the authority. It kind of comes more natural. And then let your vision drive your action, so you'll never lose the motivation. The camera becomes the person that you're trying to talk to. Some essential gear. I got a piece of gear right here. This is, any of you guys have one, like a mic that you use? Mics are super important because I can be standing here and they can still hear me clearly. And it's like the best kind of hack to having just good audio. One of the things that people do is they'll like actually film themselves working out, but they'll be talking about what they're doing while they're actually working out. So it's not, you're not wasting time or not taking the time to, set a filming day. It's just like, I'm just going to film myself doing my workout, and I'm going to talk about like why I'm doing this exercise, or like how to do it better, or like some tips during workout, some stuff that I think about during my workouts that'll help my audience. And you can do that with just a camera propped up anywhere, especially having a gym like this. Like, I feel with the bigger gyms, like it's kind of harder to do that stuff because there's just like a lot more noise, a lot more distractions. But a gym like this, like you can do almost anything and just film yourself and talk about what you're doing and make sure it's in alignment with your brand, and people will start to gravitate towards that because they see that you're, showing up. Phone tripod, I brought one. Jason has one. This is super clutch too. Phones these days are pretty good with their camera quality. It's obviously not the best, but your phone tripod or a phone just stable and you can post it wherever you need to is going to help you just get the content instead of trying to prop it up and then it getting knocked over, not having good visibility. And then the last one is a key light. This one isn't necessary, especially if you have like nice, beautiful, bright windows that come through into the gym. But it is important, like if you want to have better quality content, especially if you're doing sit down, like talking content or standing up talking content, to have that key light. Because I'll talk about it in a second, we want to avoid overhead lights. Like I don't want to stand, especially like facing this way with the overhead light, because then I'm going to have like raccoon eyes. Okay. So we want to make sure we have good lighting because it's going to make people want to watch. And if you guys want to just scan that, it's a Amazon link to like fitness gear, or not fitness gear, filming gear. And it's going to have like links to this, the lights that I recommend, the microphones, all that stuff. So yeah, here are the things to avoid when you're filming yourself. No direct overhead lighting, okay? Especially if you're in a room with not, like this is gonna be kind of forgiving because you have nice bright light coming in. But if you're like in your home and you just have like a light over your head, you're gonna look terrible. Like it's hard to make anybody look good. I know all of you guys are beautiful people, but you'll look even better if you have a good light. Avoid background distractions, people doing random stuff behind you, or cars aren't so bad, but just like try and just be in a space where you're the main focus. So that way you can isolate yourself as the expert. And then no patterned clothing. This isn't too bad, but like something that has like, contrasty patterns are going to be more distracting. And then if you use captions, like to say what you're talking about, usually you want the captions to be like on your torso, and it's going to be hard to read those captions. And then avoid recording at the end of a long day because you're not going to be able to show up as your most authentic self. So do it at the beginning of the day. I like to do it after I do like a workout or a run because that's when I have the endorphins going and I feel like I can think more clearly. So like even before this, I didn't have time to run, but I did like do some sort of body movement so that way I can get the blood flowing a little bit better and I can show up as myself as best I can. And then try not to sit every single time. As trainers, especially, like you guys, it's good if you have somebody filming you, that's awesome. But you can use a tripod and like walk towards the camera as you're talking. Use your hands, like sitting is fine, but again, try and be more active, whether that's while you're working out, standing up, sitting down, or even when you create hooks. And I didn't talk about this because we can go into the whole creating a hook, but doing a visual hook versus a verbal hook is going to be a little bit better most times, because if you have a visual hook, whether that means like you hold up an iPad and it has what you're going to say, or you drop a weight and you act like you stub your toe, like people are going to stop the scroll to see like what actually happened. So doing visual hooks like that is going to be a little bit fun. So like one of the things that I did on one of my ads that I ran that got really good numbers is I showed myself, I don't know if you saw this, but I was doing a back squat and I had like 3 plates on it, but then I act like I like failed and like I like buckled and like let the weight fall behind me. But like that was just a visual hook that got people to stop the scroll because it looked like a gym fail. Looked like I might have been hurt or whatever. But then what I did is I just like cut it and I went straight to me talking to the camera. And then now people are interested in what I'm going to say. Try and be more dynamic with how you introduce yourself in your videos. So read your scripts before you start recording. That's, again, train your AI to know your voice, but read through them just to make sure it sounds like you and that it feels good for you to be able to talk to the camera. Use a mic and try not to be in a loud gym as much as possible. Sometimes it can be hard, but a mic like this will actually be really good. You don't want your mics positioned like the mic is here. You don't want it positioned down like this way. You want it to capture your voice. So you can either clip it to your shirt, or you can, some people even like clip it to their hat because now it's a little bit closer to your mouth. Like people can hear me pretty fine like this. But definitely try not to like get it right here by your throat, because then you're gonna hear the like bass rumbling from your Adam's apple. So there's a lot of different ways that you can mess up audio. The best way is just to make sure it's a fist distance from your mouth and clip to your clothing somehow. Okay. Good audio is bad audio is going to get your people to go away from your video faster than bad visuals. That's why people listen to podcasts. So good lighting by the window or with a proper light source, and then use a teleprompter. You can use an actual one that goes on a camera, or you can use one on your phone. There's a teleprompter app on your phone, and I've had Jason use it, and it literally pops up. And you can just hold your phone like this and the words will pop up on your screen as you're reading. So it doesn't look like you're like looking down. It's like you're looking right at your phone. And you can just copy paste your scripts to your phone, and you can tell people like, the story that you want to tell. Give them the hook and then go through the entire video of what you're going to talk about. And then that feels really authentic because now you're not like sitting in front of a camera all fancy. Like you can just walk around and act like I just had this really insightful idea and I wanted to share it with you guys. And people are more prone to like content like that because it feels more authentic. And then here are some editing apps. Anybody like edit their own videos? Okay, so now we talked about the execution part, the assess, the setup, and the execution. And now let's talk about how you finish. So finishing is just engagement. So like when you post, what happens after you post? Or maybe like right before you post, like towards the end. So if you have something that's like a really big deal, like a video that you want to really help push, create stories around that video and just say like, I have this really personal video that I want to talk to you guys about. Like make sure you guys go watch it. I talk about XYZ, and you kind of like create more buzz around that video. But once you've posted, you want to create a thumbnail for your video. That's like super important because then it makes your profile look a little bit more tidy, so that way you guys don't just have like a bunch of stuff like thrown on there. And then posting the stories 2 to 3 times a day is really important. Stories actually sell more. Stories more than posts, like people that get better views on their stories are gonna be able to, you're gonna be able to sell people, and then they have a direct line of like conversation with you. They can DM you directly from your story. So 9 times out of 10, post your story. You'll probably get more engagement from that than an actual video. But again, that doesn't mean don't post videos. It's still your front-facing content that's gonna show who you are, especially for new clients. But your posts, your stories are gonna be what connect you to the person that already follows you. So post your stories as much as you can, and we'll go over that here in a second. Going live for Q&As, I'm guilty. I don't really go live as much as I should, but most of the time that I see creators that go live just for Q&As, even if there's only like 5 people, like that's 5 people you could potentially be selling to. Like what if you sold a $3,000 package? That's $15,000 that you could sell because 5 loyal people that want to hear what you're doing, what you want to talk about. It's just more incentive for you to go live. And then I didn't finish this. Create hooks that stop the scroll. Okay, create the hooks that we just talked about. Visual hooks, verbal hooks, those are going to be good ones. And I'm sure you guys have seen like the ones recently where there's like a viral video of like a donkey kicking someone and they like come into camera. Like those are all visual hooks. Those actually work. I mean, they get me every single time. Like the donkey kick, or like there's one where like a donkey's like rolling onto his back and then someone does a flip. Like that's kind of cool. I'll actually I'll give people some time of my attention just to watch that. And then don't sell all the time. If you're selling all the time, at least give value all the time. Like caveat that with like, well, I give you a shit ton of value. Like I'm going to sell to you. That's just, maybe that's just how it is. So creating thumbnails for your content can be super easy. It doesn't have to be that fancy. Just let people know what you're talking about. So creating the thumbnail from so this is, I went into my story. I created a story. And so this is the picture that I used. And then you just tap on the text, create the text for the title, and then you just add it to your cover, and then you just make sure that it fits onto your feed easily. That's like the easiest way to make a thumbnail. And you can do that. I mean, there's different filters you can use, all that stuff. But if you just want to keep it basic and have basic thumbnails for your profile, do it in the Instagram app. Literally, they have the tools for you to use. And here's posting the stories. So keep it helpful and ask people questions. So I'll go back and forth. So like these are some examples of ones that I've used for me personally. Like this would be a little bit different for you. I guess the one that you would be more likely to do is like want to know how to burn 400 calories in 35 minutes, and then have like a yes or no. People that click yes, you just send them the workout. That simple. You just DM it to them too. You don't even need to have like some fancy software to do that. Just have it in your notes, copy, paste. People that send it to you, just send it back to them. But again, so like creating polls on the right, you can see here I have a poll. Like what part of creating content is hardest for you? That's what I asked basically. And people will respond. And then you know what to make more content about. But then you also know who's engaging with your profile. And if you know who's engaging with your profile, you kind of know, okay, maybe this type of person that my content is resonating with, and you can start making more content based off of that. And then asking questions. So just asking people to give you feedback on like whatever question you have, right? Like on this one I asked, guess how long it took. And it's just simple. Like it's literally that simple. Who's engaging with my content? If you can create more engagement in your stories, you can probably sell more in your stories, because that's going to push your story to the front of someone's homepage. So create these types of things. And when I have the ads masterclass, I do want to have an ads masterclass so we can go into ads. I mean, so much. You can create retargeting ads based off of people that have interacted with your content. So you don't just like throw spaghetti on the wall and hope that your ads are hitting the right people. You can actually retarget the people that have answered these questions. So when you make ads, you can create who has engaged with this profile in the last 90 days, and I want to hit them with this ad specifically. And those are usually middle of the funnel. So those are people that are already kind of warm leads that you could potentially hit to sell your your offer, either whether that's an intro offer or a core offer. Talk about your own personal goals, again, because that'll help align your and create the perception around your brand, and then post your own personal success, and then link to your Instagram reels that you're posting. So it just helps boost your own Instagram, right? Your stories are going to help boost your Instagram reels. Content calendar. So this is an example of a content calendar that I use. So you have reels, engagement stories, carousels, personal stories, and IG lives. It just kind of keeps you accountable, a schedule for you to follow. And then you'll post based off the pillars that you choose, you can post based off of those. So that way you're just staying accountable, and you can create this calendar, and you can make the batch record the videos ahead of time, create like 20 to 30 videos. And then now you know where you're going to plug in those videos based off of the calendar that you have. Especially with the stories. I mean, stories, just post as much as you can every single day. But if you can create a calendar, you're going to have a roadmap. And that is the ChatGPT prompt that I used for creating the calendar. Make the pillars in ChatGPT, and then just have it make that roadmap for you. And then you can use those pillars as script ideas as well. Finally, looking into analytics. So let's say, all right, this January 1st, I want to start making the best content I could possibly make. All right, so let's look at January 1st to the next 30 days. And let's look at the videos, my top performing videos, and see what the average watch time is. Normally, I like to look at the average watch time and see like that's the one that people are watching the most. So let me create more similar to this, maybe with my different pillars. So whether that was like, here's a day in the life of Jason Bingham at Bingham Fitness, baby. Here we go. So maybe people like to see that. And you're like, well, let me do a day in the life of me clean eating. Maybe a day in the life or a week in the life of my workouts. So you post all your workouts. And then, so it's like the same type of outline, but you're doing it for all of these different things. You know what I mean? So it could be even like with your kids, or even like, here's how I stay healthy with my kids on the road. Maybe start creating stuff like that, how I eat healthy on the road. Here's the workouts that I do while I'm on the road. Stuff like that helps align your content with your target audience. But just that'll be the top performing content. So it'll show stories and it'll show videos, and look at which ones are performing the best. And then you can obviously see like your followers and your unfollows and stuff like that. But the best content is going to always win. So just don't recreate the wheel, create what is working already. Well, the top things that I would say is going to be optimize your profile. Like, I don't really think a lot of people use websites the way they used to. People go to Instagram profiles first. Like, if I'm going to go look up the best cake shop in Mesa, Arizona, like, I'm probably going to go to Instagram and see what people are saying. Yeah, I might go to the Yelp reviews too, but like, it's kind of a conglomerate of everything. So make sure your profile is optimized for what you want to do. That's like the number one thing. And then get a good profile pic. That's part of that optimization. The next thing is just like your core values. Like, where are your core values with your brand going to be? Because you can just post whatever. And I feel like that's what we were doing for the longest time, just posting like what we ate and blah, blah, blah. But it's like, let's actually narrow down what our core values are, because those are going to be our pillars. Like, and the pillars are going to be what drives my content in the direction that I want it to go, and to create the perception. And then the last thing would be just putting in the reps, like scripting, actually making the videos, like sitting in front of the camera. You become more comfortable with doing that as you do it more often. And that's the part that people avoid. And that's why like the discipline and the action are kind of like gonna build off of what the core values are. It's just like, guys, it's just like when you have clients and you give them the plan and you're like, execute the plan. And then they're like, oh, I still haven't lost weight. And then you're like, well, did you execute the plan? They're like, oh no, I ate a muffin, I ate donuts, I ate the pie at Thanksgiving. And you're just like, well, that's why you're not seeing the success you want. And you don't necessarily even need a ton of followers, but if you have 10 loyal followers out of 1,000 that you have on Instagram, like, that's, if you're selling a $3,000 program, that's a lot of money that you could be selling every single month or every 3 months in order to get to, financial freedom, or whatever the definition of success is for you guys. Obviously, the more followers you have, the better it's going to be. But don't get me wrong, like, there's people with 100,000 followers that don't make a dime, or that make very little on Instagram, because they haven't defined their core audience or their core values. They just have nice abs. So core values, Instagram optimization, and putting in the reps. Those are going to be the 3 things that I think that you should really focus on. So, because you're going to get your video is going to get pushed based off of your interaction and your watch time and your saves. So what time you post is pretty irrelevant. Instagram starts by sending your posts to your followers. So yeah, you can look at like, what time are my followers most active? But normally that's not going to sway the direction of whether your video is seen by more people, because you're going to want to try and get your followers to purchase from you, but they already know who you are. So once you can get it outside of your following and you can catch fire like outside of your followers, then you can start to attract more people and then build them into your current funnel if you have one or not. Instagram doesn't just use hashtags for searching.
5 good hashtags.
Like 3 really. And but really like everything what you actually post, your copy underneath the video is going to matter more than the hashtags, because that is going to actually feed into the algorithm on like when people search for something, you're talking about this, it'll come up as like, again, I'll just use postpartum motherhood as an example. If someone just types in postpartum motherhood, like, or postpartum exercises, it'll pop up, and it's based off of what you're actually writing underneath. So your copy is going to be even more important than the video sometimes, because that's when people search, that's what's going to come up.